Is a Zen ghost story. So I'll set this up a little bit. Zen points to its origins with the teacher Bodhidharma, and the teacher Bodhidharma is said to have, he might be a fictitious character, we're not sure. He might be the combination of 2 or 3 people. But he is said to have arrived in China around 300 AD. And the Buddha lived roughly, it's disputed among academics, but say 530 or 560 BCE, before the Common Era. So we're looking about an 800-year difference between when the Buddha was walking around teaching for 40 years and when Bodhidharma shows up in China. Buddhism had migrated to China around 1 AD, around the time of Christ. And it was first a devotional religion. The emperor was building temples and monasteries for monks and nuns, and it was transactional. They would bow, they would pray, and then they would get reward or a good life. And the emperors thought in those terms. If I build temples, I'll get merit and I'll have a favorable rebirth, or I'll have a good fortune in this life. So quite transactional. And Bodhidharma was in India and thought, well, this is not correct, so I'm going to go to China and show them the real thing. So that is where Bodhidharma begins to teach. And that is also what we point to as the first Chang. He has a conversation with the emperor. I'm not prepared to do the whole conversation, but the emperor says, well, I've built 1,000 monasteries, I've built a bunch of temples, so how much merit have I acquired? And Bodhidharma looks at him and says, no merit, none at all. And the emperor goes, well, what is the meaning of this? And Bodhidharma says, no holiness, vast emptiness, which is pointing to the Heart Sutra, right? So the emperor's a little shocked. He also has the power to just have the guy executed on the spot, because that's how it went in that medieval China. But the emperor instead says, who's telling me this? And Bodhidharma replies, don't know. So the emperor doesn't kill him, and Bodhidharma decides there's nobody really teachable here. So he leaves the compound of the emperor, he finds the Shaolin temple, Shaolin cave, and sits there facing a wall, and eventually gets a student. And then in a conversation with that first student, I think Dawi, another Chang appears, and this don't know, and this discussion about mind appears. So Zen points to that as the beginning of this style of teaching. And it includes Chang practice, which are usually setting up a case and then having a commentary about the case, and then sometimes some questions and answers. And in the Rinzai school, Soto school, and in the tradition I'm in, the Choge order Quantum school, we all work with Changans, sometimes differently, and sometimes with different solutions or different resolutions. So they're handled differently depending the conditions on the teacher and the student, because sometimes a student will come up with a remarkable insight, yeah? So this Pai Chang's fox is a traditional Chang, and it's a kind of magical story, more mythic than real. And what I'd like to do is read it first so you get the whole thing, and then I'm going to unpack a few pieces of it so that it makes a little more sense, possibly. And then I'll try and make a few teaching points. So I have 2 versions. I'll just show you. So this Mun Kwan, this is a traditional document. It's a collection of Changans I think there's 54 or 55 in here. And it's pronounced Baek Chang's fox. That's a different way of translating the Chinese into English. And of course, the Chinese is ancient. This story is probably from the 6th century AD or late 5th century. And this book, Whole World is a Single Flower, is the book my school uses for Kung'an practice. And we have Pai Chang's fox. Now, Pai Chang is the name of a place, like Orange Grove or San Jacinto. And in those days, the teacher was just given the name of the place. So Pai Chang is the name of a mountain. And there's two Pai Changs in the story. There's the one who's alive during the story, and he's Pai Chang's Zen master. And then there's another Pai Chang who was the Zen master ages before. So whenever Master Pai Chang gave a dharma talk, an old layman would come to listen and would leave with the monks when the talk was finished. One day, he remained behind. And the master asked him, "Who are you?" "I am not a human being." The old man replied, "In the distant past, in the time of Mahakashyapa, I was the master of this mountain, and I made a great mistake. A monk once asked me, 'Is an enlightened person subject to samsara, the wheel of cause and effect?' I replied, 'No. An enlightened person is not subject to cause and effect.' Because of this answer, I was reborn a fox for 500 generations. Now, please, Master, give me one sentence to liberate me from the fox's body. Is an enlightened person subject to samsara, the wheel of cause and effect?" Cause and effect are clear, Pai Chang said. Upon hearing these words, the old man got enlightenment. And bowing said, "I am already liberated from my fox's body, which can be found in a cave on the other side of this mountain. Would you please bury it as you would a dead monk?" The master then had the temple director strike the gavel and announce there would be a funeral for a dead monk after the midday meal. The monks wondered aloud, "What does this mean? Everyone's healthy. No one's in the infirmary. What's going on here?" After lunch, Master Pai Chang led them to a cave behind the mountain, poked out a dead fox with his staff, and had it ceremonially cremated. In the evening, Pai Chang told the whole story to all the monks. Huang Biak, now that's one of the students in the group, immediately asked, "This old man made one word mistake and was reborn as a fox for 500 generations. Suppose he had not made a mistake. What would have happened then?" "Come here and I will tell you," Pai Chang said. Huang Biak then walked up to Pai Chang and slapped him. The master clapped his hands, laughed, and said, "I thought that the barbarian had a red beard, but now I see that the barbarian's beard is red." So that's the end of the case. So a couple of things that point to this being a little magical. "I am not a human being," the old man replied. "In the distant past, in the time of Mahakashyapa, I was the master of this mountain and made a great mistake." A monk once asked me. So Mahakashyapa was a senior student of the Buddha. So he was alive when the Buddha was alive. He was from the Brahmin caste, but then became a practicing, follower of Buddhist practice. So the story is suggesting the first Chang was alive when the Buddha was alive, so roughly 800 years before this was happening, maybe even more. Yeah, so another 600, 800, 1400 years apart. And pointing to this ghost, I'm not a human being. Traditionally in Buddhism, there are 3 realms of existence that we're all born into or reborn into. In the Zen tradition, those are considered states of mind. Those realms of existence could occur in one sitting period. Or maybe in the first half of our day, we're in the highest realm, Diva, where everything's going quite well. We just got a job offer, and it was the salary we wanted, and our spouse loves us, and then at lunchtime we get a phone call and things suddenly turn south, yeah? So the realms are Diva realm, which is the top, Asura realm, which is a warrior protecting the Divas, then human being, that's all of us. We're happy to be here. Human beings, the only realm that practices, because Divas don't practice because everything's going so well. Asuras don't practice because they just want to become Divas. That's their intent. Human beings practice because we see the suffering in the world. Then below human being is animal realm, which I'm familiar with in my consciousness. Hungry ghost is under that, and that's where our Chang character is for a moment, hungry ghost. And then below hungry ghost is demon, demon mind. Now, in our tradition, we teach all those realms have Buddha nature in them. Our Buddha nature is here before we're born. Our body appears, it's here. Our body disappears, it's still here. It's indestructible. So these realms of existence, one by one, are complete, and one by one have our true nature in them. It does not disappear. This is a little difficult teaching, because when we look deeply at it, we realize, everyone has an animal mind, everyone has a Diva mind, everyone has an Asura mind, and that can also be hard. Everybody has a hungry ghost heart, everybody has a demon heart. So we see ourselves in each other, and we can also see Buddha in each other if we're looking deeply enough, if we're looking closely enough. The whole case hinges around, does an enlightened person fall under these rebirths? And the wrong answer is no. And the right answer is cause and effect are clear. So what's interesting about the right answer, it doesn't touch opposites. It just reflects what's actually going on. If we can find that in our heart, the part of our nature that doesn't touch opposites, it's before our opposites thinking arises. Yeah, we use opposites thinking, we have to. But there's a whole part of our consciousness which is before opposites appear. And that's our true nature. And it's never separate from our opposites thinking mind. So my teacher would always say, in the moment, so in this moment, the relative, these conditioned minds, and our true nature are completely interpenetrating at all times. So we might see, I have kind of a demon mind right now. It's not so good, not so good. Oh, but I can't control it. I'm just going to shout this stuff out or carry out this demon action. Our true nature hasn't disappeared, right? Our habit energy, or what's called our karma, this cycle of rebirth, is just driving the car. But we still see, we still hear, we still smell, we still taste, touch, think. So our practice is making some spaciousness around these activities of mind and heart so we can see them. That's all. That's the first step. See the habit energy. See the part of us that is unchanging. Right? Everybody heard that. Can you see? Yeah. So the stick, the sound, and your mind, are they the same or different? If we say same, that's attachment to emptiness or everything being the same and not the particular. If we say, oh, they're different, that's attachment to the particular. So there is a way to answer this question. It's a test, it's a Colohan. There's a way to answer it that doesn't attach to the particular, does not attach to emptiness, but participates with the question, which is also quite similar to what was happening in the Colohan. Does an enlightened person fall under the cycles of rebirth? Cause and effect are clear. So causes and conditions are constantly changing around us. We have no control over them, whether we like it or not. The only thing we can influence is this, going inside. So heart, mind, compassion, wisdom, that's what we can work with. That's what we can use. Something terrible happens to us, or happens to our country, or happens to Minneapolis. We can't fix that. But we can look deeply, attain our wisdom and compassion, our true nature, and then skillfully interact with our family, then interact with our city, also interact with our country. But we've got to know what's going on here. So that's our practice. If our action comes out of thinking, that's always opposites. If our action is coming out of our true nature, that's before opposites have appeared, and then the decision comes out of the situation. It comes out of the moment. In the Heart Sutra, it says all Buddhas depend on the prajna paramita. So the literal translation of that is perfection of wisdom. My teacher would say, that's this moment. One of his students said, sir, all Buddhas depend on the prajna paramita, what does that mean? And his answer was, sitting on this cushion, answering your question. That's an extraordinarily economical teaching. What he is saying, in my view, is wisdom arises out of this moment, and the awake person is just participating in it. And the next moment it may change, and what's the correct thing to do may change, and 3 moments later it may change again. So our practice is being willing to be in that flow of changing. Because that's fundamental, impermanence. That's the teaching of the Buddha. All things are impermanent, even our thoughts and our feelings, even our families, even our homes, our cities, our countries. Yeah? They might be here for a while, but they eventually go. So where does wisdom and compassion appear? It appears entirely in the situation. So our effort is just, what am I? And keeping don't know. And then seeing clearly, hearing clearly, smelling, tasting, touching clearly. Then we think clearly. So that's a lot of pretty complicated points. It's about 1:15. Maybe I should stop there.
Hi, I'm Franz with Long Beach Meditation. Your gracious generosity makes this programming possible. If you found this video to be of value, please consider making a donation here. If you'd like to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to stay in touch with Long Beach Meditation, click here to subscribe. Thank you, and may all beings be happy.